Welcome to Stoic Inspired. It is the private thoughts of the world's most powerful man giving advice to himself on how to make good on the responsibilities and obligations of his positions. Trained in Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius stopped almost every night to practice a series of spiritual exercises, reminders designed to make him humble, patient, empathetic, generous, and strong in the face of whatever he was dealing with. It is eminently readable and perfectly accessible. He wrote about his own Stoic practice in his journals. It is worth remembering that Marcus is one of history's most exemplary leaders and one worth emulating in our own lives. Despite his privileges as an emperor, Marcus Aurelius had a difficult life. The Roman historian Cassius Dio mused that Marcus did not meet with the good fortune that he deserved, for he was not strong in body, and was involved in a multitude of troubles throughout practically his entire reign. But throughout these struggles, he never gave up. He is an inspiring example for us to think about today if we get tired, frustrated, or have to deal with some crisis. And during those years of struggle, particularly while he was directing military campaigns, Marcus would write 12 books of his private journals, which is estimated to have been between 170 and 180 AD. They have become one of the most influential philosophy books in the history of the world. Meditations originally had no title and was written by Marcus Aurelius for his own benefit, not for an audience. And it's funny to think that his writings may be as special as they are because they were never intended for us to be read. Almost every other piece of literature is a kind of performance it's made for the audience. Meditations isn't. In fact, their original title, thought-provoking, roughly translates as to himself. It's for this reason that Marcus Aurelius's book, Meditations, is somewhat impossible to understand. To us for personal clarity and not public benefit. Writing down Stoic exercises was, and is also a form of practicing them, just as repeating a prayer or hymn might be. This is a book of actionable advice, and its teachings were meant to be practiced and used. When Marcus speaks of the certainty of death and how relatively soon it will come, he is not idly philosophizing. He is recommending that this fact advise our decision-making and how we view the events in our lives. Instead of theorizing about what we should do if either there is a guiding intelligence in the universe or if everything is just atoms, he prescribes one viewpoint that typically follows Stoic thinking and explains why both possible truths would lead to the same best actions and beliefs. The first book of Meditations consists of Marcus thanking the people who had a positive influence on his life. 5 of the main themes in this book are change, death, and the shortness of life, the role and importance of the rational mind, and will, dealing with others and accepting their shortcomings, avoiding the chase for pleasure and fame, and living according to nature and fully accepting its course. 1. The evil that men do harms you only if you do evil in response. Marcus reminded himself to not be upset by the misdeeds of others and to correct them if possible, but if they were stubborn and would not change, to accept it. In reacting to such people, we must never allow our own principles to be violated. Moreover, we should never be surprised by the wicked deeds of others, and avoid wishing that men are not as they are, prone to evil acts, because then we are wishing for the impossible. He believed that people do bad things out of ignorance of what is good and evil, and that we should forgive them for their errors, even when they harm us. Marcus stresses that social animals such as humans are meant to live in harmony. He likened his relation to bad people to them being different body parts of the same person. Good and bad people are both part of the same universal nature, and they are meant to interact and cooperate. Marcus Aurelius, and indeed all the Stoics, believed that we were part of an interconnected organism, that you couldn't hurt one person without hurting them all. What injures the hive injures the bee, he said. The best revenge, he said, is not to be like that. Meaning, when you hurt others, you hurt the group and you hurt yourself. It is against nature to despise evil people and try to avoid them. When we find ourselves judging others, we ought to consider our own faults first. Then we will find that we are less prone to blaming them. Rather than judge and be disturbed by others, which sets us up for disappointment and distress. We ought to focus on self-improvement. Marcus said, "It is a ridiculous thing for a man not to fly from his own badness, which is indeed possible, but to fly from other men's badness, which is impossible." It's silly to try to escape other people's faults. They are inescapable. Just try to escape your own. And today, in a hyper-connected, information-driven world, compared to Marcus's time, we also know a lot about other people. We know about the comings and goings of celebrities and politicians. We get real-time updates on everything our friends do. We see what they say on social media, and we get their texts and photos. There's no question that this has increased the amount of so-called drama in our lives. We have opinions on whether so and so should have done this, and we watch the media chatter about it. We get offended when our friends say this or that. Not a day goes by that we don't hear gossip or speculation about someone we know. This is a trap. This is a distraction. Even 2,000 years ago, Marcus knew this. Other people's mistakes, he reminded himself, should be left to their makers. Forget what other people are doing. Forget what they're doing wrong. You've got enough on your plate. Focus on yourself, focus on what you might be doing wrong. Fix that. Keep an eye fixed on your own life. There's no need, and frankly, there's not enough time to waste a second spying on other people. Mind your business. 2. Fame and desires are not worth pursuing. Consider that as the heaps of sand piled on one another hide the former sands, so in life the events which go before are soon covered by those which come after. Aim, no matter how great, will always fade into oblivion, and pursuit of it merely demonstrates one's vanity. He points out that so many famous men have been forgotten, that those who would praise one posthumously will themselves soon die. He explains that there are no immortal actions. He also explains that nothing is made better by praise. The beauty of things comes from the thing itself, and not what people say about it. To think then that we are gaining something by being praised is a mistake. Marcus would say, when you've done well and another has benefited by it, why like a fool do you look for a third thing on top, credit for the good deed or a favor in return? The desire for fame is just one of the pitfalls in life. There are many other desires, all of which can potentially lead us to act immorally. A person who has been harmed was wronged, whereas the person with strong desires is ignoring the well-being of others because they want something more than they want to be virtuous. Desires can also lead to despair. Marcus addresses this when he talks about prayer, claiming that one should not ask the gods to satisfy a desire or prevent something feared, but ask them if they can remove the desire and be okay with whatever life gives to them. 3. The universe is change. Marcus Aurelius' strongest philosophy comes when he speaks on the eternally changing nature of the universe and the acceptance of death. He reminds us that all of us will die, however, we only ever lose the present moment, because that is all we ever have. Nobody loses more by dying early. The longest and shortest life will end the same way and be finished for the same eternity. He also reminds us that we could die at any moment and to live to the fullest while we still can. Not to live as if you had endless years ahead of you. Death overshadows you. While you're alive and able, be good. It is the way of our world that substances should change into new things. The changing of anything into something else is never harmful to the universe, and Marcus applies that lack of harmfulness to every part of the universe, including us. Nothing is evil which is according to nature, he asserts. 4. Problems are created in the mind. Being superior to pain and pleasure allows us to fully accept the course of nature and focus on being virtuous. Our perceptions of events as troublesome are the real source of any unhappiness we experience, not the events themselves. Marcus believed that a person could immediately wipe any upsetting impressions from their mind and be at peace. He also recommended remembering the following whenever we experience anxiety. Let not future things disturb you, for you will come to them, if it shall be necessary, having with you the same reason which you now use for present things. If we don't let events make us worse people, we are never truly harmed by them. He explains it perfectly when he says, "Whatever anyone does or says, I must be good, just as if the gold or the emerald or the purple were always saying this. Whatever anyone does or says, I must be emerald and keep my color." 5. Your rational mind is your greatest asset. Marcus knew that our ability to reason is what sets us apart from the animals and is an important power that we must use to the fullest. He believed, like all Stoics, that our reason could be used to understand the universal reason present in nature, which would lead to agreement with it even if events seemed harmful. Our rational minds have complete power over our opinions, and the mind only experiences suffering when it itself creates a desire for a specific outcome in life. Marcus, who had more control over his environment than most, was also the pen behind these lines. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus teaches that our mind is a thing that controls itself completely and is separated from the world. It cannot be affected by events unless it makes itself be affected. Every appearance is the result of what the mind wills it to appear to be, and the mind makes itself exactly what it is. Since this is so, there is no reason we should not agree with nature, since nature has provided us with the means to rationally accept the course of events, no matter where they take us. If you like my video, then subscribe it for more amazing content.